I am a huge proponent of self-funding. Low, slow, natural growth is what I am all about. Hi, I'm Laura DiFrancesco, founder and CEO of Dean Street Law and Flourish co-working space. We have a juicy money Q&A. I pulled my Instagram at Laura M. DiFrancesco for all of your money questions. They are so juicy. I'm so excited. I think this is amazing because these are so many of the questions that I would absolutely love to ask my favorite entrepreneurs, J.K. Rowling, Lauren Bostic, Jenna Kutcher, so many of my favorite entrepreneurs, and you just want to know like the nitty gritty. Give me the details, show me behind the scenes. So I appreciate all of your courage asking the questions, and I'm excited to get into it. The first question is, why does it feel shallow to want to make lots of money? I've been super honest with everybody. I've said that I want to be a billionaire, and there's so many things that we learn growing up. There's a lot of subconscious beliefs that we have. So we have our subconscious mind super way in the back and our conscious mind, our thinking mind. And as society and also through generations, something learned from your family or something you picked up or overheard, there's a lot of stigma around money, and there's a lot of stigma thinking that it's bad necessarily to want it. I think particularly it becomes something that women feel really shy about. We talk about so many things. We talk about what we are doing in our sex lives, or we're talking about shaving, or like literally all the nitty gritty we talk about with our girlfriends, but we don't talk about money, which I think we should change. It's something that I changed in my own personal friend group. I started talking about how much I was making, promotions I was getting. We all started to be really honest about how much we were spending on a house. My sister asks me how much she should be saving up for her house. So I think it's really important for us to have these conversations so that we can eradicate the stigma that's out there, especially with women in money. We talk about everything else, so let's talk about money. The next question is, how were you financially after college? How did you start making money? I was super fortunate. My family worked really hard to save money so that could pay for our education. I got almost a full ride to undergraduate, and I graduated early. So everything that was saved for that went to mostly a little bit of my tuition and then my living costs, and I had enough left over because I got such a significant scholarship to law school and for my MBA program that savings lasted me all the way through law school. And then I had a really hard time in law school. It was brutal. I was crying every single day. I triple majored in 3 years in undergraduate, so I graduated a year early. And so many of my best friends were having the most epic senior year ever at University of South Carolina. They were by the pool. I was buried in books, miserable. It was really hard to fit in law school, as you can imagine. Elle Woods was a huge inspiration for me, standing in her own in places that she didn't fit in. And so having so much struggle, studying for 12 and 16 hours a day, multiple days on end, I made a decision one all year, our first year, that if I was gonna do law school, I was gonna go big or go home. So I made the decision that I was going to land a job after law school making $150,000 or more, and come hell or high water, I did. I worked so freaking hard. I went and I studied 12 to 16 hours a day for weeks on end. I ended up getting 11th in our class for that semester and landed a job with a Big Four law firm in Delaware, getting paid top of the market. So, you know, when you have a decision that you want to make and you make it so that there's nothing that can stand in your way because you work so hard and that it's almost inevitable, it'll happen. So I was very lucky. I was making 12 grand plus a month starting out. So it was really easy to start saving for my house and to really get a solid foundation for me and become an entrepreneur. Our next question is, what advice would you give someone going into law school? Whether it's law school or any career that you're interested in, spend time, as much time as you can, getting to know that field. I didn't have anybody in my family who had been a lawyer before. I wanted to become a lawyer because my dad always said that he would love to be a lawyer because it would make him a better entrepreneur. My family's in real estate investment, so I was constantly surrounded by lawyers and really loved seeing them sit down to this table and negotiate. That was my favorite part, but it was a super limited view because I thought that that was all that they did. And 95% of my job as a corporate attorney, I negotiate multi-million and billion-dollar transactions, is staring at a computer. Very little is done in person, particularly with multinational companies. There's a lot that I didn't know going into it. There's also a lot that I didn't know about the commitment. You're working 12 plus hours a day every single day and exhausted. And so I had a lot of issues. It caused me panic attacks and anxiety, and I had debilitating health issues from working that hard. It was solely due to stress. And that's not to say that you shouldn't do it and that it's bad. It's to say that I wish that I was more informed going into it. I chose to continue to stay in it and to continue to build a world around me that better suited me. So I started my own law firm. We have a come as you are culture, and everybody can dress up in sweatsuits or their finest attire, whatever makes them happy, and it's a very low stress environment. I believe in creating companies that I would want to work for, so that's how I evolved to make it work for me. And I also wanted to get experience being an entrepreneur and advising entrepreneurs, so that's why I did it. But make sure that you're making informed decisions, and you can also shadow people, do internships, whatever it is, no matter the field. Really get into the nitty-gritty to figure out what the day is gonna look like and if that's what you want. I wish there was more that I had known about being a lawyer, and it would have helped me make those informed decisions. But whatever it is, if you want it, go for it. And find people who inspire you, make you happy, create a world around you, no matter your circumstances, where you're gonna love what you're doing. You wanna make it a really important, amazing, feel-good part of your life. Next question is, how do you prioritize between paying off student debt or debt in general, saving for your business, and paying yourself? So I love this question. I have a lot of feelings about debt. I hate it. I hate it so much. I think that was something that I learned from my family. My family pays down debt very aggressively, and something that I learned and I really value is to only hold debt on appreciable assets versus depreciable assets. So appreciable assets means something that increases in value, like your education, a home. Something depreciable like clothes or your car or something. So I endeavor to not hold any debt on depreciable assets. So I would first recommend paying off your highest rate interest rate first as your first priority. That's typically credit cards or something like that. And then paying off any depreciable debt, so debt on depreciable assets. And then once you are able to do that, really prioritizes on chunking down other loans. So your student loan or your loan for your home and everything, chunk that down. The way that I do that is I put 2 times the loan payment into my bank account every single month and then pay it down in chunks, but you have to tell the bank to pay down the principal only and not put it to anything else. Otherwise they'll default and just pay your interest down, which doesn't help you at all. So make sure that you instruct them that you do that. And then whenever I have an influx of cash, if I get a bonus or I have a good month or something, I'll take a chunk of that and put it to pay down my debt. And then you could either do it separately or at the same time start saving for your business and start saving for an FU fund is what I was taught, but it's basically a fund that can get you out of hot water, whether that's something personal or something health-wise, or you have to leave a job or you want to start your own business. So make sure that you have 6 months, and I would even mostly advise a year at least, saved in your personal fund as your FU fund, That's gonna give you a runway. I like to have as much of a runway as possible because when you're starting a business, it's a baby. It shouldn't be required to pay for you and your lifestyle. It's a baby. You need to nurture it and help it grow and flourish because it's going to require capital. It's going to require your time and energy. And honestly, you wanna have time to be able to fail. Like, you wanna have time to be able to fail and experiment and not have any money pressure whatsoever, because your business is just a constant evolution and it will grow and pivot over time, and you have to give yourself that runway to do it. So it only cost me $5,000 to start Dean Street Law, and I started Dean Street Law before I started Flourish. So we're gonna talk about Flourish in a bit, but that was a totally different investment, and I made sure that Dean Street Law was funded, it had room to grow, it was self-sustaining, it was sustaining me before I founded my second company, Flourish. Juicy! The next one is, how much did it cost you to start Flourish, and when do you expect it to start making a profit? So, cost me a lot more than I expected. I was in my zone of excellence starting Dean Street Law. I knew how much it cost. I knew what I could do with it. I didn't need an office or anything. $5,000 startup, good. Flourish, on the other hand, I was way out in left field. I mean, I had no clue. Talk about naive, about starting a co-working space and having no idea how much it was gonna start. I thought it was gonna start, like, cost 25 grand. And it ended up costing 80 grand. I always recommend, particularly from experience, that if you're starting a business, always save at least 3 times what you expect it to cost to start up, because there will always be unexpected costs, especially if it's something you've never been in before. I would have never guessed how much it would have cost to turn this place around, but like, it's beautiful and I love it and it's worth it to me, so that's all good. I wouldn't have spent that money if I couldn't have, but cost way more than I expected. That was way off course from our financial projections. Our financial projections were projecting us to be at break even at least by month 6, but because we were closed for 4 months and now the economy has totally changed and co-working is different, I think it's probably gonna take us at least until the end of the year to break even, and then it'll probably take us until at least next year or the following year to start making a profit. But I only lose what I can afford, and that was the decision that I made, and it's been an investment. I think it's an investment that's gonna pay off in dividends. It's part of me diversifying my income and my portfolio of income, so it is what it is. Next question is, do you have any investors in your business? And if so, what are their terms? As much as I love investing, I do a lot of mergers and acquisitions. That's one of my specialties as a corporate attorney. When you have influxes of cash, I think it can make the economics of the business a little bit backwards, and it can force growth sooner than it's natural for the business. Things like WeWork, where they funded so much, tried to grow so much, and naturally it didn't happen. And I also don't believe giving away my company. I don't believe giving away the rights to my company. I don't want somebody to control the decisions. I think when you ask for money, you ask for control. You ask for somebody's opinion, and I want the autonomy to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and that's been something super important to me. I advise all entrepreneurs to be able to do it that way. Get scrappy. My first startup was $5,000. I worked from home for the first 9-10 months before Flourish was open. There's so much that you can do to have a lean startup, and if that's what you can do, I highly recommend, if you bring on outside investors, please work with an attorney, because I want you to be protected and make sure you know what you're giving away. But if you have to get outside investors, think of crowdfunding, try to get a small business loan. Both of those are gonna cost you a lot less than giving up equity. Equity is very hard to get back and it costs you a lot. So if you can, self-fund. This is a very funny one. How do you handle your finances if you are bougie and obsessed with biohacking, especially as someone in law school. I actually got almost the duplicate question twice from 2 people. So I love my law school gals, and I feel you. If I had known about biohacking back in law school, I probably would have been in the same predicament. But there are so many different free things that you can do with biohacking. It really starts within. It starts with your nutrition, your movement, your sleep. All of those are free. You can meditate either. I love meditations on YouTube. That's what I do a lot. Or you could do meditations on your phone inexpensively with Headspace or something like that. There's so many things that you can do for free. I prioritize spending on myself and investing in myself over everything else. So that's over alcohol. I don't really drink, or going out. Also a homebody, so I don't really do much of that. But whatever it is for you, figure out a way to make it happen. But I can do it on a budget, you can do it on a budget. I'm currently not spending excess because we got hit by COVID so hard. So all of my biohacking is basically free at this point. I do cold plunge ice baths, literally fill up buckets of ice and put them in my freezer and then dump them in the bath and everything. That's free and also so fun. So totally feel you. You can do it. There's so many options. And if you don't know what biohacking is, it's basically how you make your body into this peak performance machine. And I am all about that. I believe that we have foundations of our health and our body runs almost like a car. Like you have your engines, your sleep, your hydration, your nutrition, all those things. And if you have one of them, including mental health, off, you're not gonna be running efficiently and at peak performance. So I dial in my body like it is a machine, and I have a lot of flow with it, I have a lot of fun with it, but that's basically what biohacking is. I think that as an entrepreneur, you're basically a performance athlete at this point, because if you're not taking care of your body and your mind and your soul, you're only gonna get so far. It literally all starts within. You will be as successful in your world as you can make yourself, and having yourself successful inside will just propel that forward tenfold. So if you have any questions about what I do for my morning routine, or what I do for cold plunge therapy, or any of my biohacking favorites, drop it in the comments, let me know. If you have any questions about money, any questions about anything else that you'd like, just drop it in the comments, let me know. I'm so happy to answer so many things. Thank you for all of your courage in asking this. Seriously, I am so grateful for all of you and so thankful to be on this journey with you. My #1 goal in life is to inspire epic women, entrepreneurs, all the things. Makes me so happy. So I hope this was valuable. Make sure that you like, subscribe, all the things, and share if you thought this was helpful. Share with all your girlfriends. Let's start talking about money.